And thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 4. I'm Mark Hall.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Annalisa Gale. We begin with some breaking new developments in the Trump administration's plan to freeze federal funding this afternoon. The White House now rescinding its previous memo while simultaneously maintaining that freeze in place.
Yeah. We have team coverage on the Trump administration's shakeup of the federal government. DC News Now's Daniel Hamburg standing by with Trump's offer to give buyouts to federal workers in an effort to shrink the government.
Yeah, but we begin right now with DC News Now's Marielle Carbone joining us live now with more on that funding freeze confusion. Marielle.
Yeah, Annalisa, the back and forth today has really only added to the confusion we've been hearing from people over the last 48 hours. Now, one local organization I spoke to today tells me this uncertainty and chaos is unsustainable.
We were immediately in reaction and investigation mode.
From Michaela Deming with DC's Coalition Against Domestic Violence, the last 48 hours have been chaotic after an order from the Trump administration to freeze federal spending.
You can imagine the sense of concern.
The organization supports more than a dozen local programs that provide domestic violence services in the district. And those groups rely on the more than $35 million in federal funding the district gets annually. If that money is paused, even temporarily.
Several of our programs said we won't be able to pay our staff like this pay cycle.
The original budget memo sent on Monday froze spending on federal grants and loans, sparking uncertainty among schools, nonprofits, and more. But Tuesday afternoon, after legal challenges, a judge temporarily halted it from taking effect. And by Wednesday afternoon, the memo was rescinded, followed by a tweet from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt stating this is not a rescission of the federal funding freeze. It's simply a rescission of the OMB memo. The president's executive orders on federal funding remain in full force and effect and will be rigorously implemented. That includes orders targeting spending on climate change, diversity programs, and more.
It was callous, and it was intended to hurt the American people.
DC News Now spoke to Maryland Senator Angela Alsobrooks Wednesday morning.
But we know what the intention was, to sow chaos and confusion.
Our ability to hire staff today, our ability to sign a lease for a survivor tomorrow is all impacted by this uncertainty.
And again, that judge has halted the implementation of this freeze, at least temporarily, through Monday. Beyond that, what happens with this is still uncertain at this point. Reporting live downtown, I'm Marielle Carbone, DC News Now.
All right, Marielle, thank you. And again, be sure to stick with us. We have much more to come on President Trump's buyout offer to federal workers in an effort to try and shrink the government. That's ahead in just a few minutes.
And also breaking here at 4, President Donald Trump says he will sign another executive order to open a detention center in Guantanamo Bay. The order directing the Department of Defense and Department of Homeland Security to prepare a 30,000 migrant facility. Now, Trump made that announcement during the signing of the Laken-Riley Act today. That would stiffen the nation's immigration laws there. Guantanamo Bay is known as a military base where terrorism suspects are held. All right, live look outside over in Nova there. Looking beautiful. Warmest day of the week, Mark.
It was nice, Annalisa. Took a little walk today. The wind was blowing just a bit, but let's head over to meteorologist Scott Sumner, who's in for Damon Matson for a first look at our forecast. And Scott, how much longer is the wind going to stick around?
Oh, well, Mark, it will be sticking around for a few more hours here. The official wind advisory and / high wind warning. Most of the counties under that are going to actually be dropped by the time we get to 6 o'clock. But the winds will take a little time to recede, and as we get into the overnight period and going into tomorrow morning, it'll be a lot lighter, as you'll see. What about the weather headlines? As you can see, winds relax, the wind gusts specifically relax overnight tonight. We do have a chilly night ahead, and we also have in the forecast some rain coming in. Now, we have been abnormally dry here across the area, across the DMV for a good chunk of this month, and we can certainly use that rain across the area. So rain is going to make a return. It's going to come in tomorrow night, though, not tonight. And then we'll have a sunny and seasonal weekend coming up. So we'll break it all down, as I always do, and show you the latest 7-day forecast that will be coming up in just a little bit. Back to you guys at the desk.
All right, Scott, thank you. Well, a discovery in Prince George's County. Sheriff deputies finding a body in a home while serving an eviction notice in District Heights. Deputies say they found the body in a home along Winter Green Avenue Tuesday afternoon. That investigation was then turned over to the police department, who says there is no evidence of foul play there. We'll have you updated and keep you updated on air and online at dcnewsnow.com.
A Minnesota man being held without bond after police say he traveled 1,200 miles to Virginia to meet up with a minor. Fairfax County Police say the 30-year-old met the 15-year-old victim on TikTok on January 25th. The victim's parents found them together at a home near Reston and called police. The suspect, Trent Fair, faces several counts, including solicitation of a minor.
And right now, a woman is dead after a fire broke out at an Oxon Hill townhome Tuesday night. When firefighters got to the Brandy Hall court home, they say they found fire coming from the second floor. Fire investigators are now working to figure out the cause of that fire, but they did return to the neighborhood to check and hand out smoke detectors to people in that community. Also in our schools, Alexandria parents are pushing back against plans to close a majority black elementary school. The Alexandria City School Board planning to convert Jefferson Houston Elementary School into a middle school to address overcrowding. But DC News Now's Liberty Simmons is talking now to parents and figuring out more details about this. She's joining us live. Liberty, what are you learning?
Well, Annalisa, parents say that the decision to convert Jefferson Houston here will uproot hundreds of students and disproportionately affect black, special needs, and low-income families.
Be upset. Your kid gets involved. They love their teacher and their community. They love their neighborhood, and they're, and having to move and change that is upsetting.
Parents upset after Alexandria City School Board voted to convert Jefferson Houston Elementary School to address overcrowding at the city's middle schools. Some parents say the move won't fix the problem.
It's just shifting it to the elementary schools, because then you have however many elementary kids are here at Jefferson Houston with no school.
Back in December of 2024, the school board voted to reconfigure Patrick Henry K-8 to an elementary school and Jefferson Houston to a middle school to address overcrowding at George Washington and Francis C. Hammond middle schools.
Many of the parents are not really anticipating a positive outcome.
Alexandria City Public Schools released a statement saying in part, quote, "It is important to emphasize this is not a school closure, but a reconfiguration and renovation to better serve our students' needs. Parents want the school board to reconsider."
Look at how is it going to affect the students in the long run, not in the short term, but in the long run. And is it better for the community as a whole?
And ACPS also says that this decision is still in its early stages and it is working to alleviate parents' concerns. Meanwhile, parents tell me that there is a PTA meeting being held here on this issue at 6 p.m. tonight. For now, live here in Alexandria, Liberty Simmons, DC News Now.
Liberty, thank you. And ahead in our next half hour, a school in Bethesda, Maryland, now dealing with overcrowding issues as well in our schools. We'll have the full report coming up from our Kevon Dupree in just a few. Meantime, new federal testing data shows a steady decline in reading for American elementary and middle schoolers.
Yeah, that's coming from newly released scores from the National Assessment of Educational Progress, often referred to as the nation's report card. Now, it shows both 4th and 8th graders have lost ground in reading. 33% of 8th graders have below basic reading skills. That's the largest it has been in the exam's 3-decade history. The percentage of 4th graders at below basic was 40%, and experts say that screen time and school absence may be contributing to the poor performance.
But that's not necessarily the case here in the DMV. And the district data from the 2024 National Assessment of Educational Progress showing students in D.C. are improving compared to years past. In 2022, there was an almost 10% improvement in math scores for 4th graders. That's tied for the biggest improvement in the nation. Reading scores also jumping 1%. Math scores for 8th graders, that's up 3%. Reading, that's up 2%. Leaders say they're proud of the progress, but there's always room for some improvement.
Very, very pleased to feel as though we are on exactly the right path. This is not a call for us to change course. This is a call for us to do more.
School leaders say high-impact tutoring is one strategy they will continue to practice to see continued success.
Well, taking a look at Virginia's test scores, they show little to no improvement in reading and math among 4th and 8th grade students. In fact, 8th graders saw a 4-point decline in reading and math scores. Governor Glenn Youngkin partially blames pandemic learning loss. He also says the scores don't account for SOL results, which showed progress. Well, in Maryland, students improved in math and reading scores, and it showed slight progress, while the state ranked in the top 10 for reading on the 4th and 8th grade level.
Around town now, new installations are on the way for Smithsonian's Hirshhorn Museum. It's part of their 50th anniversary. The museum saying it acquired 175 new art pieces created by 60 different artists. Some of those artists include Laurie Anderson, Theaster Gates, and Nancy Holt as well.